Hello and welcome back to more Films Under Constant Critique, where we take a look at films, some good, some bad, and some downright awful. I'm Bongo Baikov, joined by our host, Maverick Drenzaria. This week we're taking a look at the 2013 film Evil Dead.
I'm just waiting for that day where you just throw out a title and I'm like, oh shit, that's not the one I watched. But, okay. So this premiered at the SXSW Film Festival on March 8th, 2013, before being released in the United States on April 5th, 2013. It cost 17 million and made 97.5 million, making this the highest grossing film in the Evil Dead franchise. I'm kind of surprised by that.
That is pretty impressive.
I didn't know it made that much. It was directed by, oh god, how do you pronounce that?
I think it's Fede,
Fede Alvarez.
who has quite the impressive filmography.
Yeah, he also directed Don't Breathe. Not a huge fan of that movie. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but
I haven't seen it, no.
it's also a horror movie. I mean, it has the same lead, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Girl in the Spider's Web. Quality movie right there. And some episodes of From Dusk Till Dawn, the TV show. And the reshoots of Chaos Walking.
He also was a writer on the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie that came out earlier this year.
Oh god, yeah, I've seen that, yep.
I've heard it was not good.
Leatherface ends up on TikTok. That's all you need to know about
What?
That's all you need to know about it. It was bad. So Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell have producer credits on this, which is very interesting. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I was waiting for your reaction.
I'd already known that.
I was expecting a bigger reaction than that.
But yeah, I do like that they both still want to be involved with the Evil Dead series, even if, Ash isn't the central character of the movie.
Were they involved with the, well, I know Bruce Campbell was, but was Sam Raimi involved with the show?
I know he directed, I think, the first few episodes, and then he did like some writing for some of the other ones in season 1, I believe.
Okay. And actually, something I realized, we almost recorded this on Sam Raimi's birthday.
Oh, wow.
We were supposed to record this podcast yesterday, but we had to reschedule. So, and yesterday was Sam Raimi's birthday. And he shares the same birthday as Emilia Clarke, apparently.
Really?
Yeah. Daenerys. Maybe I'd have liked this movie more if she was in it. Okay, so the tagline. Do you know what the tagline to this movie is?
I do not.
The most terrifying film you will ever experience. That is quite the bold claim.
That sounds like something you'd see on like a 70s movie poster.
It does, yes. There are like 70s horror movies that have like taglines like that. Okay, so the cast. We have a bunch of people I don't know.
Yeah.
Although there is a surprise cameo in the end credits, which we'll get to.
Yes.
Although the actress who played Mia, she was in the show Castle Rock.
Oh no, I have to find out who she played now.
And an episode of Twin Peaks: The Return.
Really? Well, I gotta find out.
I don't remember who she plays. And I also mentioned she was in Don't Breathe, the other movie by that
Yeah.
same director, which, yeah, whatever.
So in Castle Rock, she played Diane Jackie Torrance, the niece of Jack Torrance.
So Diane Jackie Torrance?
Yeah.
What does she say? Here's Jackie or something.
From what I remember, her character is basically, um, she's like obsessed with Jack Torrance and his disappearance at the hotel, and she's also an author.
Oh, I can see this going a number of directions.
If I remember correctly, she does kill someone with an axe at some point in the show, and then at the end
Well,
of
it'd be
season one,
funny
she
if the person she killed with the axe was was like the grandson of like Dick Halloran or something. Who does she
and then I'm
play in
pretty
Twin Peaks?
yeah, she was a pretty minor character in Twin Peaks. She's basically just
It said
a
one episode, so I was like, yeah, not a like.
yeah.
Well, okay. And I like looked at the other actors. I'm like, I can't really find anything interesting, so whatever. Well, besides, well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
This almost got an NC-17 rating.
I could see that. I could very easily see that.
And this is a running trend with the Evil Dead movies, if you haven't guessed.
Yeah.
Before they had to cut it to get an R rating. I don't know if the extended cut is the NC-17 version or not, but anyway. It's pretty violent, though, in few parts. There's, especially towards the end. And I think this is technically the first remake we've done on this podcast.
I think you're right.
Because, I mean, yeah, we did do the Dark Knight trilogy, but that's more reboot, you know.
Yeah.
Same with Man of Steel. But this is like the first one. It's like a remake of another movie. Unless you count Evil Dead 2. Which is kind of a remake of the first movie.
Yeah.
And is also a lot better than this. But anyway. Okay, so initial thoughts. So I had seen this movie once, a long time ago, after I'd seen the other movies. And I couldn't really remember much of it aside from that I didn't really like it.
Mm.
You know, that's like all I can really remember. And rewatching it, you know, I still don't really like it. I'm sorry to say. Which is too bad. I was actually hoping I'd like it more this time. You know, I hate being a cynical stick in the mud during these podcasts.
Yeah.
It just felt like kind of a middle of the road horror movie that has the Evil Dead name attached to it. Like, I wasn't that impressed with the acting, dialogue, characters. The gore is decent.
Yeah, that's one of the things that this movie does very well is all of its special effects.
There's a few instances of CGI that don't look that good, but the gore I think looks good.
Yeah.
I think they took it too seriously. I think that's my problem with it, because the original Evil Dead movies, when you really look at them in terms of story, they're just generic horror movies.
Yeah.
When you get down to it. But what sets them apart is that they're very eccentric and funny. You take that away, you're not really left with much. So, you know. And also, another thing, in 1981, throwing a bunch of characters into a cabin and having them get taunted by demons, that wasn't as unoriginal as it is by the time you get to 2013. Like, I was just depressed the whole time I was watching this movie, if I'm being honest, like I wasn't scared of it. I just was it was just too dreary and overly serious. Like there's a few stylistic choices which are okay and a few scenes I enjoy. The ending, I really like the ending, especially but I can't really say this experience gave me much, if I'm being totally honest. Like I've mentioned before, I have a weird relationship with horror movies and that most of them don't really scare me. I mean, some do, but most don't. So again, I'm trying to judge them as movies, and one huge problem I have with most horror movies is characters. The
Yeah.
characters, and this one I just didn't get into most of the characters, but okay, I'm done rambling. You can go. You can go.
So, back when I first started watching the Evil Dead series, I had watched the trilogy, and then this was back when Ash vs. Evil Dead was first coming out, and so I said I was going to watch the remake and then move on to watching the TV show. I watched maybe the first 20 minutes of the remake and then gave up and then just watched the TV show instead.
Yeah, the first 20 minutes are so goddamn boring.
Yeah. But then after we watched the original trilogy for the podcast, I decided to go and give this one another shot. And so back when I watched it that second time, I remember liking it well enough. Like I didn't think it was great, but I watched it and I was like, okay, that's decent. It's nowhere near as good as the original,
It's
but
okay if
it's
you
an
liked
okay
it,
movie.
man. You don't have to say you dislike it just because I didn't like it.
No, I genuinely think that it's okay. There's some good moments that there are some moments that I do really like in this, but I didn't think it was awful.
I would agree with that, yeah. Like I didn't think it was terrible. I just thought it was kind of middle of the road.
Yeah.
Um
And then watching it
Look, if
again,
you liked it, just say you liked it. You don't have to say you didn't like it just because I didn't like it.
I know I genuinely think it's just like okay. Like again, there's things that I like, but I think as we mentioned earlier, the beginning of this movie just goes on for so long.
It does, yeah, and it doesn't amount to much either. Like most of the characters, like that's supposed to set up characters, right? And most of the
Yeah.
characters aren't. Like half the time, I was like, "Oh, right, there's another character there, and another one." Like it's just
Yeah, it kind of makes the pacing a bit of a mess because once you hit a certain point, then it's like most Evil Dead movies and just firing on all cylinders. But you're stuck with about a half an hour, so a third of the movie just drags on forever.
because that's another thing about the Raimi trilogy is that they're very well paced.
Yeah,
Like incredibly well paced. Like Evil Dead 2, while watching it, I was just really caught off guard by how fast paced it was. Like it was insane. It's like somebody just strapped a rocket pack to me and just said, "Here's a go on a ride, motherfucker." It's like, good lord. But yeah, this one, it's just there was just a lot of build up and yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll get into it. Yeah, you probably liked it more than I did, though. If
yeah.
that's it's
By the sounds of things, yeah.
getting to the recapping. We start off with some girl walking in the woods, and she thinks someone is following her. The soundtrack starts making this weird sound.
Yeah, I've noticed through a lot of the songs, there's like this siren that plays every now and again.
I think it was going like
Yeah,
like that, yeah. Sorry, I couldn't help but think of like Friday the 13th during some parts of this. But but yeah, there is actually a weird sound that was playing on the soundtrack. And then she gets attacked by these two guys and wakes up all tied up. There's this old woman muttering and looking through a book.
and apparently she speaks Welsh in this scene.
I didn't know what she was speaking, honestly. I was like thinking, oh, it's like probably some like sorcery or witchcraft.
That's what I was thinking, but apparently it was just Welsh.
The subtitles on my version didn't say that, but either that or I didn't notice them. I just realized this is the first movie I've done on this podcast that I watched on Tubi.
Really?
Yeah, this was the first one. That was part of why I agreed to do it, was because it was on Tubi, so I was like, oh, there we go. Unfortunately, I didn't write down any of the ads.
Aw, darn.
There were a lot of them were annoying anyway, so whatever. And I think she's looking through the Book of the Dead.
Yep. Which is called the Naruto Demento in this movie, just like the original.
Yeah, and it's by Doctor Demento. I can't believe I fit in that reference on this podcast. And she sees her dad and a bunch of other people, and they're telling her she killed people or something. And you're like, holy shit, this is a fucked up opening.
It is. And it ends with this man who is the father of this girl who has been possessed by a deadite, setting her on fire and then blasting her head off with a shotgun.
And right before that, she turns into a demon.
Yep.
And says, I'll rip out your soul. Because, like, before that, you're just like, holy shit, he's just killing his own daughter and stuff. Like, but then, yeah, that happens, which I bet the people that saw this in the theater, they're like, holy shit, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't, I'll admit. I was just kind of wondering what the fuck was going on during all this.
See, I don't mind the scene being there. I just wish it had more to do with the story.
It has nothing to do with the story. It does get your attention, though. I'll give him that.
It does. But it's like, okay, I want to know who this like witch is that knows how to read from the Book of the Dead. I want to know where did all these people come from that are out just breaking into this cabin?
Maybe they'll answer it in the sequel.
Uh,
Evil Dead Rise or something, I don't know. But yeah, it really doesn't have anything to do with the story, huh? It's sort of a James Bond cold open there, I guess, you know?
Because that's what I want my Evil Dead movie to have, is a James Bond cold open.
The only thing we're missing now is the title sequence with like a song and like you know, like scantily clad demons and stuff dancing. You know, So yeah, that was a weird opening. And that was one part where I noticed the CGI, like, because one thing I was reading about the production of this movie, the director like said they didn't use any CGI, and I'm like, you did there.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious. Granted, there's a lot of like practical effects with like the gore and stuff, but still, that was like one scene I was like, wait a second, but you fucking liar, there's CGI there. And also the color grading in that scene was weird.
That is one complaint I do have with the whole movie. It's got the Man of Steel weird desaturation thing going on.
Like sepia, they were using sepia. It was a problem I had with I just since I just rewatched it yesterday, I might as well bring it up. Spectre.
Yeah.
Because that also has this like yellow like tint to it for some reason. And then we see a car driving in. Yeah, moving on. We're just moving on from that.
Yeah.
We're not bringing that up again. Like, then we get a scene of... we get a scene of a car driving. And the shots here reminded me of the opening to The Shining.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then some people show up at a cabin.
And so we pretty quickly meet all 5 of our main characters. We've got David, Natalie, Olivia, Eric, and Mia.
Yeah, I'm glad you wrote the names down because I could only remember like one of Mia was the only one I remember, because I say her name so damn much in the movie. We get some great dialogue here with "You look beautiful as always, and you're a charming liar as always."
That's some Attack of the Clones level dialogue. And so basically, these five friends are all down there because Mia has a drug problem that she's trying to kick.
Yeah, they're trying to like get her to sober up. And she's depressed about her mom or something. I think her mom died, or
Yeah.
lots of exposition here, and I'm like, oh my god. And then she hits withdrawal.
And she kind of starts to go crazy as a result.
When it's not the first time it happens in this movie. And she smells something dead, which nobody else seems to be smelling except for the dog. They brought a dog along. I hope the dog survives.
You ask too much.
Oh, god damn it, movie. For once, can we have a movie where the dog lives on this podcast?
Gotta balance it out by watching Independence Day next.
Independence Day. And they find the hatch to the basement.
And upon going down there, they find a whole bunch of dead animals and the supposed location of the ceremony we saw at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, there are a lot of dead cats hanging from the ceiling. Which, whoever used to live there was an asshole.
Yeah.
I'm glad my cat was asleep while I was watching this. Because I was like watching it in my room and he was just asleep on my bed. I like looked over at him like during this part. I was like, oh good, he's asleep. Oh, there's another great exchange here. Because one of the people in this group is a doctor. And somebody asks her, what's your medical diagnosis now? And she says, it fucking stinks. And yeah, the beginning of this movie was kind of boring.
Yep.
And the characters were kind of boring. Mia, she was okay.
Mia is... I like Mia just because she's the only one that feels a bit more fleshed out.
She's developed.
Compared to the
she
others.
Actually has a character arc in this, kind of.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just, hi, I'm here.
And I have my singular character trait.
Yeah, I'm a doctor. I'm the drug addict's brother. I'm the guy with the beard that reads through the book. It literally is that service level.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the blonde, that's like literally the only character trait I remember from her. Or maybe I'm confusing that with Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I don't know. And one of the guy with the beard, he finds the book, which was wrapped up in a garbage bag and barbed wire. Which, okay, if you find a book under those conditions, for the love of fucking Bob, do not open it. Don't open it. Nothing good is going to come from that.
Well, not only that, but when he does open the book, it's like there's like writing scribbled all over it that says, don't read this.
Yeah, one of the pages even says, leave this book alone. But of course, he's just reading through it. And while he reads through it, he summons something in the woods.
Yep.
Because it wouldn't be an Evil Dead movie unless you woke the demons up.
And so Mia, still going through withdrawal, believes she hears a voice out in the forest and runs off to try and find who it is.
Yeah, the camera's moving really fast. It's the point of view shot from the other movies.
Yep. And then we get the return of a fan favorite character from the first movie.
Yeah, the girl from The Ring.
I was about to say the weird tree.
Oh god, yeah, that's coming up too, isn't it? Jesus. And she's like puking all of a sudden too. Mia starts like puking
Yeah.
for some reason. She tries to leave, but that because I mean, you go out in the woods and you see that. I mean, obviously you're gonna freak the fuck out. Uh, and she tries like talking to like trying to get her friends to like take her somewhere else, but they said they're trying to keep her there because the last time she tried to get sober, it didn't work.
Yep.
And they just think she's like having drug trips or something.
Which that is a pretty fair assumption on their part.
It is, yeah. I that was actually an interesting story element right there, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I actually did like that a lot because for a lot of these you have to find a way to get the characters isolated. And so in this case they are choosing to isolate themselves.
But still, why would you isolate yourselves in the like backwoods fuck cabin in the forest of hell? I mean,
Because then your drug addict friend can't get any more drugs.
she tries driving away. She's screaming fuck a bunch, you know. I've been there. I understand. And then she sees the creepy girl from the ring in the road again and crashes the car in a ditch. Cars are just always getting destroyed in these types of movies, huh?
Yeah.
And she has to swim out. Oh, yeah, it's raining so much that.
The road is completely flooded.
Yeah. And she has to swim out. She gets attacked by that same girl again. And then, oh, god damn it, not this again. The trees.
It's basically the same way that I think it was Shelley in the first movie got possessed.
And the demons throw up some black stuff. I don't even know what that was, but okay. Once again, I was also just thinking of The Exorcist a lot during this movie.
Okay, I actually had that written down at some point.
There's a later scene that made me think of The Exorcist again.
Yeah, I put down that these Deadites feel like Exorcist villains.
They really look like Reagan does in the first Exorcist movie. And yeah, they of course don't believe her because they think she's just experiencing withdrawal symptoms, and they haven't been attacked yet either.
Nope.
And again, this is an interesting concept for a horror movie, I'll admit.
It is actually, because when you think about it, before it happens to everybody else, it could be one of those things like you don't know if it's just the drug withdrawal is causing hallucinations or if it's, actually demons.
And the guy who read out of the book is now taking notes on it, because that's what you do when you find a book like that. This is anytime in a horror movie there's like a creepy book, they always have to just go through it, just like fucking like in fucking Babadook or something, or like the Necronomicon. It's just it never goes well. It never goes well in these times.
Well, David, who at this point is slowly becoming our main character.
So which character is?
David is the brother of Mia.
Okay, David. Yeah.
He ends up finding a blood trail and follows it to the tool shed, where he finds out that the dog has been beaten to death with a hammer.
Yeah.
Which that sucks and it feels kind of unnecessary. But
as an animal lover, that scene was
yeah.
Scene hurt. Yeah. You killed the goddamn dog. Damn it.
And they killed it so early. It's like, did you really even need the dog in this movie?
Yeah, true. That's also true. It's always shock value, like just and he thinks that Mia killed the dog with a hammer, which, I mean, isn't an unreasonable assumption at this point,
Yeah.
because they haven't seen any demons yet. So, and she's on a crazy drug trip, so maybe, possibly, I don't know. And then Mia heats the shower up a lot, which almost kills her.
Yep. And Eric, the guy with the beard that read from the book, notices that there's a picture of there of someone with burning flesh. And so he kind of starts to believe that whatever's happening to Mia is somehow connected to the book.
Yeah, the text written in the book even says like boiling water on body or something like that. I will admit that was an intense scene with the
Yeah.
boiling water. Yeah, that was an interesting scene. You're half expecting like the Psycho music to start playing there. Huh? Yeah. And Mia's brother tries driving her away.
But the road's flooded.
There, yep. God fucking damn it, yep. I like how it's also the elements of nature too.
Yeah, in this one, the evil's just trying to stop them with everything possible.
Yeah. But again, I wasn't that impressed with some of the acting here.
Yeah.
Or was it the dialogue? I don't know.
I think it's a combination of both. The lines really weren't that great.
Oh, here it is. Eric, he says, everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. I don't know if you noticed this, but nothing has been fine, and everything's been getting worse every second.
That's a pretty fair assessment of the situation.
Like that line, I was like thinking, huh, that's an interesting line. It would, you know, I'm not even sure if that was a good line or not, but okay. And Mia shoots her brother in the shoulder with a sawed-off shotgun.
And then this is the first time where she looks like she's possessed, and she yells out like, "You're gonna all die tonight."
Yeah, she vomits blood on Dr. Olivia.
It's a lot of blood too.
Yeah, it is. They used. I'll get to this in the trivia, but they used a lot of blood for this.
Yeah,
movie.
it's definitely an Evil Dead amount of blood.
An Evil Dead 2 amount of blood.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's fake blood, so yes.
And they end up forcing Mia down into the cellar, just like Shelley in the first movie.
Yeah. And that one guy who was reading the book suspects witchcraft.
Yep.
That crazy witchcraft. Because, I mean, hey, he's been reading a book. You know, he knows everything now because he read a book.
So Olivia, pretty freaked out and with a bunch of blood vomit on her.
Oh, God,
goes,
this was a fucked up scene here that we're about
Oh,
to get.
completely. She ends up going to the bathroom to start cleaning herself off. And then she ends up getting a peek at the book where she sees someone is cutting off their face flesh.
Yeah, and she's cutting her.
Yep, she breaks the mirror and starts to cut her face off
I'm
with the
gonna
shard.
take his face off. And she's
so then,
also demon possessed.
Yep, and we get a very brutal fight between Eric and Olivia.
He also slips on blood like an idiot and hits the toilet.
And he ends up trying to bludgeon her to death with the piece of the toilet as well.
Yeah, he like smashes her head with the toilet lid.
And then he gets stabbed with broken glass and with a needle at one point.
Oh god, yeah, it's pretty graphic. And you know what this means? They lost their only doctor.
Yep.
So now what do they do? And he admits that he read stuff out of the book.
And so he believes that he caused something uh, evil to enter in their two friends.
You just couldn't put that book down, could you? God damn it. So, one girl gets pulled down into the cellar in a scene that seems to go on forever. That was something I was noticing. I was like, some of these scenes are going on so goddamn long.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't have the great pacing of the originals.
Yeah. Um, and she gets licked by the Mia demon who tries biting her. And she licks a knife blade.
And cuts her tongue right down the middle, which is kind of a ugh scene. Oh, this was the part where I said that Deadite Mia feels like an exorcist.
I wrote that down too, yeah, because she's like swearing a bunch and like,
Yeah, and she's taunting them, saying stuff.
yeah. Like, it wouldn't be that out of place in the original Exorcist, really.
Yeah.
The one guy tries burning the book, but it won't burn.
Which that's a pretty big departure from the original. That's how Ash killed them in the first movie.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Huh. So I guess the book survived that somehow?
Yeah, that for some reason this I guess not Necronomicon, this Naruto Demento follows different rules.
In the second movie, he gets sucked into a portal or something after they read an incantation. Um,
Oh, and Eric also mentions that in the book, this entity that is possessing Mia is trying to collect souls for something called the Abomination.
was that the picture in the book that looked like Sauron?
I think so, yeah.
Because I like wrote down there was like a picture in that book that looked kind of like Sauron. One book to rule them all. There was one line here that I kind of liked. What kind of virus makes a person cut off their face with a piece of glass?
That was a pretty good one, I think. I liked that one.
Yeah. Also kind of makes me think of Face Off a little bit. um, why do I keep making so many fucking Face Off references in this? Like, just... Anyway. So the girl trapped in the cellar cuts off her arm because it's become demon infected. And this was really gruesome right here.
Because even just looking at like the diseased arm, like the infected arm, that looked gross enough. But then watching her cut off the arm and then seeing it just like plop off later, it's so gross.
It's pretty good special effects right there, I'll say that.
Yeah, no, it's disgusting, but it's really well done.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's an Evil Dead movie. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
Ash cut his hand off in the second movie. And then gets a chainsaw for an arm. The movie really needed more strange shit like that, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It was just doing it so seriously and so matter-of-factly that it just, I don't know. Oh, there was one line which kind of was a callback to the second movie.
Yeah.
She cut her fucking arm off. Does that sound fine? Which is a reference to the...
We just cut up our girlfriend with a chainsaw.
Does that sound fine? Yeah. Okay, and then we get more exposition. Mia and her brother, their mom died in a mental institution. And he was afraid that he and Mia would turn out like her. And she kind of is right now, so...
Yeah.
Good lord. The bearded guy wants to burn the place down, which is a reasonable response, to be fair, considering all this shit going on.
Yep.
But he gets shot with a nail gun. before he
I,
can.
I'm gonna be honest. I actually really like the nail gun scene because it feels like something that would have been in the older Evil Dead movies. Like it's kind of gruesome and horrific, but at the same time, it's kind of funny.
Hmm.
Just with the pacing of the scene and how she just repeatedly just keeps firing nails.
Okay. I just remembered there was another scene that kind of just seemed to go on pretty long. So, maybe that was my fault. I don't know. You know, this movie really wouldn't have changed much if it was just about people infected with a virus
No.
and there weren't demons in it. That was another thing I was noticing. Oh god, this must have played really differently when people rewatched it during COVID. Uh, even quarantine can't save you now. Uh,
You know what I was starting to think around this point? The fact that Eric is still alive is a miracle.
after the nail gun stuff, or wait.
Not just the nail gun, but like after everything so far. Like the fight in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's putting up with a lot of abuse. So David finally decides he's gonna burn the cabin down. But he can't bring himself to do it because it would mean killing Mia.
And then he finds a chainsaw. Wait, that seems familiar.
Which he ignores.
Yeah, I was, okay. I was like thinking he was just gonna pick up the chainsaw, but yeah, no, they subverted my expectations there.
And so he ends up coming up with a different plan, and we get some kind of shots that are similar to the like chainsaw conversion scene from the second movie or the prosthetic hand scene in the third movie.
They're really setting him up as the main character, aren't they?
They totally are. And so what he ends up doing is he gets like a car battery and a couple syringes and makes like one of those what are they called? They're like those paddles that you can use to revive someone if their heart stops beating.
Oh,
Yeah,
defibrillator?
yeah, he starts speaking in defibrillator.
I probably mispronounced that, but okay. So, yeah, they're basically turning David into Ash,
Yep.
except he's not very good at it. He gets attacked by Mia, of course. Are there any surprises here? Also, one thing I was getting annoyed about with this movie, the lights keep going on and off in this.
Yeah. I will say when the movie decides that it's just going to be dark, it is impossible to see what is happening on the screen.
And then they add the strobe thing, and then it's just, oh my god.
Yeah.
It made me think of Rise of Skywalker. Gosh. I don't like when movies make me think of Rise of Skywalker. And David tries burying them.
Yep, he tries to bury Mia alive, as it's one of the ways stated in the book that you can get rid of the demon.
Yeah, and Mia's got a plastic bag over her head and says she can't breathe. Basically torments him.
Yep.
And I'll admit this scene was pretty sad.
It was. I think part of it is because we've seen Mia through most of this film and she has like an actual character story to her.
These were the two best developed characters in the movie. The other ones were
Yes.
just kind of cardboard cutouts. And her laugh also sounded a little like Palpatine in this scene. So, yeah. Which, speaking of Palpatine, he uses electric shocks to try to bring Mia back to life.
And then after a fake out, it works.
She gets up and then they get ready to leave. He looks at a picture of the group. Oh god, that's so depressing. It's like that scene in the first Evil Dead movie where Ash realizes that he buried all of his friends and he's crying and shit. So.
Yeah.
But then he gets stabbed by a demon-possessed version of the book guy.
Yeah, Eric. And weird that Eric is like a bit more like I want to say he's quieter than the other Deadites, but he's supposed to be like more intimidating, I think.
You don't see
But
too many
before Eric can
demons
get
or
out,
weirds. I just realized. He gives Mia the keys, tells her to leave, and locks himself inside the cabin.
and sets it on fire to kill Eric.
And, yep, shoots some gasoline. Basically sacrifices himself to save Mia.
Yep. And then as the cabin starts burning, it starts raining blood.
Yes, I was like, holy shit, this might be the most amount of blood I've seen in a single scene in any movie.
There is so much blood.
The entire frame is just blood. It's ridiculous.
And believe it or not, more blood comes late in a later scene in the movie. There's even more blood when it's already raining blood.
It's so absurd. Yeah, this was when it started to feel like an Evil Dead movie, finally.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I really enjoy like this end right here. Like the fight outside and everything.
It was a pretty good ending, yeah. This was probably my favorite part of the movie. It was too little too late, but it was pretty good. She finds the necklace from earlier. A demon tries pulling her into the ground, and it digs itself out of the dirt and comes after her. And then she gets a chainsaw.
Real quick, there's one part when she's trying to get the chainsaw. The abomination, which is what this creature is called, that's attacking her.
Every time
Like-
you say that, all I can think of is the abomination from the Incredible Hulk. I'm sorry, it's just that's what my mind goes to.
Well, so the abomination ends up shoving like a machete through part of the wall into Mia's knee and slowly like cuts it open. It's so disgusting.
Is there a limb that doesn't get cut in these Evil Dead movies? I mean, good lord. She saws the demon's leg off.
Which that reminded me of Last Blood a little bit.
Last uh, like, wait, which part? Like where he cuts their legs off with the machete or something? Or
Yeah, when he's in the tunnels and he cuts one of the guy's feet off with the machete.
that movie's Last Blood's not quite as graphic as this. Wait, is this the goriest movie we've done on the podcast now?
Yeah, by far.
I just realized that. Yeah. I guess I wasn't thinking about that while watching, but yeah. I'm so desensitized to violence. There's something wrong with me. I'm so desensitized to violence in movies. I need, like, therapy or something. But, so, then a car falls over and traps her arm. Which, oh god, this was gross. She, like, pulls her arm off to get out.
Yeah, she essentially just has her arm ripped off, which it was... That's probably the most disgusting effect in the movie.
It was, yeah. Jesus Christ. But again, it's hard for... That's the thing, like, when a movie gets, like, graphic and stuff, I always know that it's a movie, so it doesn't really get to me as much, but... Yeah, there's some gross shit in this movie, damn.
Yeah.
I kinda underestimate these movies sometimes. Because I'll like watch the Evil Dead movies and I'll be like, oh, come on. I've seen stuff that's more graphic than this. But then I actually think about it, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty graphic.
And we end up getting a pretty we get an Evil Dead line basically. Mia starts the chainsaw and she goes over to the abomination. The abomination yells, "I will feast on your soul." Mia says, "Feast on this motherfucker," and then shoves the chainsaw into the abomination's face.
Yeah, it saws its head. Yeah. Oh my god, there is so much blood here.
It's just an absurd amount of blood.
Oh my god. This movie needed more shit like that in this, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Because this was just fucking insane. Oh my god, there's like the frame, the entire camera frame is just all red with blood. Like it's absurd like how much blood. It's like they saw that scene in The Shining with the elevator like spilling blood out, and they're like, let's put even more blood in a single camera frame. Oh my god.
And so Mia begins to walk away, now finished with all of this.
Yeah, the raining blood is all gone now, so the movie just ends.
Basically, we really quickly see just a scene of the Necronomicon showing that it survived and is ready for a sequel.
The fire didn't work on it, did it?
Nope. And then
wait, was there a sequel?
There was never a sequel, but they planned to make one.
They wanted to, but I guess they were like,
it didn't work out.
I guess not, huh? Which is
But
surprising.
if
This
you
movie made money. This movie made money.
A lot of money.
More than I would have expected, you know. I honestly thought this was like a box office bomb or something, and that's why they didn't make sequels. But no, apparently not. We made the most out of any Evil Dead movie, for fuck's sake. But
yeah.
Anyway.
And then if you stick through the credits, you get one last scene.
Yeah, we get a post-credit scene, which I didn't even know about this until this viewing of it.
Really?
No, I did not. Like, I was like reading Wikipedia and it says Bruce Campbell has a cameo. I'm like, where? And it said the post-credit scene. I'm like, oh, okay. I never watched the credits, I guess. So I watched him this time, and yeah, Bruce Campbell is there.
He shows up and he says the word groovy and then turns towards the camera, and then that's the end.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you get out of Bruce Campbell in this movie. Okay. I was hoping it'd be a little bit more than that, but alright. Groovy. Okay, so final thoughts. Again, there's parts of it I like. The ending, for example. That ending is just insane. The amount of blood in that scene, oh my god. It was just so crazy.
You know, I think for me, like I had mentioned earlier, I think this movie's okay. I enjoy quite a few parts of it. I really like the special effects. Like all of the practical gore effects look like they're very well done. The ending is insane and I love it, and I do wish we would have gotten more of something on that level for most of the movie. Characters are mostly forgettable.
Yeah, I wasn't huge on the characters here.
Performances aren't that great.
There were a few sad scenes that worked fine. Overall, I just found this kind of dull and depressing.
It is without a doubt probably the worst film in the Evil Dead franchise.
Yeah, because the thing, okay, the Evil Dead trilogy is fun, you know.
Yeah.
This isn't. There technically was humor in this, but not very much of it, and most of it was bad.
Yeah.
And it just put me in a bad mood. Like, I'm fine with movies having, like, a more depressing, like, nihilistic tone. If it's done well, I don't think it was done very well here, if I'm being totally honest. And, okay, so, I was going to talk about this earlier, but I figured I'd save it for here. Now, I don't like getting too personal on this podcast. I'm going to be honest, after watching this, I actually had to go outside and do some soul searching. I'm not joking. I was really stressed the day I watched this, so I guess this movie caught me in the middle of a bad episode, so maybe I shouldn't be too harsh on it, you know?
You want to know something insane?
What?
The day that I watched it, I ended up getting a phone call about halfway through
Oh no.
and it just like I just got incredibly pissed off after the phone call, and so yeah, no, I watched this on while being pretty angry. So
I watched it just while being really sad, so
yeah,
yeah, neither of us were at our best to watch it.
yeah, it was not the ideal viewing conditions for either of us.
No. So again, there was like part of me that was thinking maybe I was just being too harsh on it. Like I was just taking like out my like my own shit on this movie or something. But even still, like okay, the original Evil Dead movies, they're very fast paced.
Yeah,
Sometimes to a ridiculous level, especially with the second one. This one's not. This one takes quite a while to get going. I guess like even now while thinking about it, like I'm thinking back to like watching it while I'm in a less like stressed out mindset, obviously. And even then I'm
yeah.
like having trouble remembering some of it too. Like I'm forgetting some of this movie. It's not a very memorable movie, is it?
Not really, no.
Yeah. And I agree with yeah, obviously it's my least favorite of the Evil Dead series. So I guess that means that Rambo is the only film series we've done on this podcast so far where I've liked all of them. So Evil Dead almost had it, but then this one came along. Mad Max almost had it until Thunderdome.
Yeah.
I guess this is technically our Halloween episode. I feel
Yep.
I feel kind of bad about that. I wish it was a better movie. Granted, I was watching worse horror movies around the same time. So
All right, should we get to the trivia?
yeah, I was kind of curious though. I haven't read anything about Evil Dead Rise, to be
Okay.
honest. But does it look like it's gonna follow the events of this movie?
No, it looks like it's going to be its own standalone story. But something else interesting, that's not the only Evil Dead project coming out soon. So Evil Dead Rise comes out in April of 2023. Well, just in July, Bruce Campbell had mentioned that they're currently in talks for a revival of Ash vs. Evil Dead as an animated series.
Oh, that's interesting, huh? That'd be kind of fun. Evil Dead in like animated
I
form.
know.
You can do
And
whatever you want with a gore. Then in that case,
yeah, and Bruce said that he'd come back to play Ash if they did that.
name's Ash.
Housewares.
Okay, so getting to the trivia, I didn't write too much down for this, but I wrote a few things down. So this movie came out. This is kind of sad. The day after Roger Ebert died.
Oh no.
So as far as I know, he didn't review it before he died. Which I mean, when you're dying from cancer, are you gonna search out the Evil Dead remake?
Yeah, no, this would not be a good movie to watch while dying.
No. I hate that we're laughing about this. That's not something to be laughing about. Oh my god, I feel like such an ass. His former TV partner Richard Roper wrote a review of it though. And he didn't like it. He gave it 1 out of 4 stars.
Ooh.
Which I'm not a fan of the movie, but I'm like, that's a little bit harsh. He called it unoriginal, thought the characters weren't very smart, and then it relied too much on gore. He said, I love horror movies that truly shock, scare, and provoke, but after 30 years of this stuff, I'm bored to death and sick to death of movies that seem to have one goal. How can we gross out the audience by torturing nearly every major character in the movie?
Yeah, that's fair.
He's just watching it. I'm appalled by this movie. I don't know if he saw the other Evil Dead movies, but anyway. Okay, what do you want to guess Larry Malton gave it?
I'm gonna go with a 1.5.
1.5.
1.5.
You think he gave this the same rating as Superman 3 and Supergirl?
Yes.
Slightly lower than what he gave The Dark Knight,
Yes.
but not as good as what he gave.
Batman Forever.
He gave the movie 2.5 out of 4 stars,
Really?
which is the same rating he gave the original Evil Dead,
Huh.
and also the same rating he gave Man of Steel. Man of Steel is as good as the Evil Dead remake, according to this guy. Which, if it makes you feel any better, I'd rather watch this than Man of Steel.
Oh, yeah, any day. Yeah.
And it's not as good as Batman Forever, according to this guy. You know, that's possible.
I I can't believe how many movies are worse than Batman Forever according to this man.
He thinks Taxi Driver is worse than Batman Forever. He thinks The Shining's worse than Batman Forever. Oh, God. He thinks The Dark Knight is worse than Batman Forever. Okay,
Oh, God.
so getting to his review, sorry. He said that it will likely be appreciated best by rabid fans of the original and its sequels.
Fair.
Undeniably thrilling and suspenseful in parts, but very much an acquired taste. Graphic mayhem will be a turnoff for some, a turnoff for others. Go watch Batman Forever instead. Okay. Oh, that's also the same rating he gave Rambo 3, by the way.
Nice.
Um, wait. So he thought this was better than First Blood and Rambo First Blood Part 2?
Oh no!
And the fourth Rambo movie? Okay, so it was nominated for a Saturn Award for Best Makeup.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know what it lost to, but okay. Supposedly, they didn't use any CGI in this, according to the director. But again, I don't believe him. There were shots in this that I'm pretty sure that's CGI. It was also shot in chronological order.
Interesting.
Which I guess makes sense considering how much blood they use at the end there.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of how much blood they used, 70,000 gallons of blood were used in this movie.
That's a bit much.
How many gallons do you think were used in the final scene?
Well, it was a lot. I'm gonna go with. We'll go with half. 35,000.
50,000.
That's so much.
In just the final scene of the movie. It's a lot of fake blood. Where'd they get all the fake animals for that fake blood? Okay, that's all the trivia I have. If you want to add anything,
there is one thing. So the names of the main characters are David, Eric, Mia, Olivia, and Natalie.
Oh, I think I read this.
Yeah, if you take the first letter of each person's name, it spells out demon.
Yeah. I read that. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. David. This isn't the only movie on this podcast which had a David in the movie. Because there was Prometheus.
Why did you make me remember Prometheus?
Oh, at least I didn't make you remember Alien Covenant. Oh, shit. Oh god, which speaking of which, our next podcast is going to be us ranking the worst and the best stuff we've done on this podcast.
Yep. To celebrate our 50th episode.
50 episodes, yes, that's a lot of episodes. And I don't even know how I'm like, I think I'm pretty solid on what I consider the worst stuff we've done on this podcast, but figuring out the best was pretty hard.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure if I guess I could revise it later if we ever do another list, but
I guess with that, that's the end of this episode.
Yep. Oh my
Randy
God.
Griffith time.
Yeah, Andy Griffith. Oh shit, look, a demon. Nah, I'm kidding.
Good night, you stupid idiot. Good night, you miserable slob.